Hello, greetings, fellow Trekkies and Trekkers. Well, look at Star Trek Deep Space Nine Season 5 Nakatuza with the penultimate episode of the season in the cards. The mood aboard Deep Space Nine has grown dark as the Dominion threat has intensified. 3 ships, including the USS Tiananmen, have disappeared along the Cardassian border in just the last 3 weeks. Odo has cancelled a vacation to Bajor due to a 75% increase in the thefts of food rations and medical supplies, and the crew is generally gloomy. Captain Sisko most of all. What's more, Kai Wen Adami announces she'll be visiting the station. Fortunately, Jake Sisko has a plan to lift his father's spirits. Quark has invited him to an auction at which, in mint condition, Willie Mae's rookie year baseball card will be available. He'll show up, purchase the card, and make a gift of it. How hard can that be? Jake asks. Jake convinces Nog to let him use some of the gold-priced latinum he saved up over his lifetime so he could purchase this gift for the captain, by guilting of the reminder that the captain made it possible for Nog to attend Starfleet Academy. Meanwhile, Kai Wen meets with Captain Sisko and reveals that the Dominion has requested a meeting with her. Kai Wen requests that Sisko take a walk with her on the promenade. Both Sisko and the Kai are concerned about how Bajor will be able to cope with the pending Dominion invasion. The Kai tells Sisko that she is concerned that, with the conflict between the Dominion and the Federation quickly escalating, Bajor could get caught in the middle and result in the destruction of her world. Sisko promises he will do whatever it takes to safeguard Bajor. Meanwhile, at the auction, the baseball card Jake desires comes up for auction. It is included in an Andorian chest along with a prehistoric Vulcan bracelet, a 6th century Bajor mandala, and a 20th century ion translator. Bidding begins on the contents of the chest, but Nog's entire life savings is enough to outbid a mysterious man at the back of the room. He bids 10 bars of latinum, twice what Nog has saved, and then disappears out the back. Nog tries to convince Jake that they've lost the card, but Jake is determined to come through for his father. He leaves with the man as he leaves the auction in Quarks, but he mutters something about refusing to get involved with the soulless minions of Orthodoxy and disappears into a turbo lift. Meanwhile, Wayne arrives on the station to meet with Kai Wen and exchanges insults with Sisko. Finally, the man about the baseball card, Dr. Elias Geiger, requests a meeting with Jake and Nog after learning of their relationships to Captain Sisko and Quark. It seems he needs some supplies he believes they're in a position to obtain, and he's willing to trade the baseball card, minus the original packaging and chewing gum, for those supplies. Jake agrees, even after learning Dr. Geiger plans to use the supplies in the construction of a cellular regeneration entertainment chamber. The device is designed to keep the cells of the body from getting bored, thus prolonging life indefinitely. Jake and Nog agree that the man is crazy, but since he has the baseball card, they have little choice but to acquiesce to his demands. Geiger proves a lengthy list, and Jake and Nog go straight to work. For a neodymium power cell from a Cardassian phase coil inverter, they visit Chief O'Brien, but he's so busy recalibrating EPS regulators to help. Nog, always a Ferengi, strikes a deal. Jake and Nog will do their work while the Chief is his holosuite for a chance to go kayaking for the first time in weeks. In exchange, O'Brien will find the power cell. Provide leaders of anaerobic metabolites suspended in hydrosaline solution, they call on Dr. Bashir, who's not only busy but is doing something he wants to do, so they can't strike a deal like they did with Chief O'Brien. However, through additional probing, Nog gets Bashir to admit that he'd be much happier if he had Kukalaka, his teddy bear. When he was still dating Lita, Bashir let her borrow Kukalaka, and she never gave it back. Nog manages to retrieve it from Lita while she's sleeping. While Jake and Nog are running errands, Kaiman discusses Rio's proposal with Sisko. The Dominion wants to sign a non-aggression treaty with Bajor. She recognizes Starfleet can't possibly protect Bajor from the full strength of the Dominion, but as well as that allying with the Dominion can make Bajor the next world conquered. Sisko advises that she stall for time and keep Bajor's options open. He tells her she needs to trust him this time. She puts her hands on his ear to his paw, then agrees. Meanwhile, Jake delivers a batch of Dr. Geiger's requested items to his quarters. Geiger then removes a chip from when the device is just delivered, and uses it to activate a console panel on its wall, which then begins making humming sound. Then, the view pans up to the quarters above, where Ryu is being accommodated. The sound has alerted him and his 2 Jem'Hadar guards that something is going on below him. Later, Nog agreed to filter out subharmonic distortions from Worf's Klingon opera recordings while Jake helps Kara with an upcoming speech to the Bajoran Agricultural Ministry. When they've collected the last of the supplies, however, they find that Geiger and his equipment are no longer in his quarters. Jake and Nog visit Odo and insists there was never such a person in those quarters. When he hears about the Silly Regeneration Entertainment Chamber, he reads a list of charges including making a false report and wasting police time and scares him out of his office. On their way out, Jake misses Kaiwin talking to a Vedic on the upper level of the promenade, who would also bid on the lot containing the baseball card during the auction. Thinking she was after the Bajoran mandala that was auctioned in the same lot as the baseball card, he just says she kidnapped Geiger as a result of losing the bid. Rio meets with Kaiwin. She tells him he'll have to wait until she's given a report to the First Minister. He says he understands, and that he and she are very much alike. She puts a hand on his ear as she did with Cisco, and says, "No, we are nothing alike," and leaves. Shortly afterward, she's accosted in a nearby corridor by Jake and Nog. Cisco's furious when he finds out that they have essentially accused the religious leader Bajor of burglary and kidnapping, but Jake, still wanting to surprise his father, lies and says that he and Nog got drunk at Quark's before approaching the Kai. Naturally, this makes Captain Cisco even angrier, and tells them that he was wrong to place so much trust in them. He finds both of them to quarters and angrily dismisses them. As the two argue on Turbolift after they leave Cisco's office, they're sailing beamed onto Wayun's ship. Wayun asks Jake and Nog about their connection to Dr. Geiger. Jake explains that they were only trying to acquire a baseball card, but Wayun doesn't believe him. He tells them that he knows about the polarized particles from Geiger's room, that Jake and Nog have been holding secret meetings with the senior staff at the station to acquire the items for Geiger, and the fact that they met with Kaiwin immediately after she left him. The gentlemen bring Geiger into the room, carrying the auction box, and revealing it was Wayun who had kidnapped him. Geiger, seeing Jake and Nog, accuse him of betraying him to the soulless minions of orthodoxy, before he is relieved of the box. Wayun then begins to examine its contents, telling Jake he would like them to be friends, but they must be truthful with each other. Seeing no other option, Jake says he and Nog were working for Starfleet Intelligence and concocts an absurd story about hunting for a mysterious man for the future named Willie Mays. Wayne realizes their original story was truthful. He enters Geiger and asks for an explanation of his machinery. Nog dismisses Geiger, quipping that he is working on a way to become immortal. Wayun, who himself is a recipient of immortality, immediately becomes interested in Geiger's work. Geiger says it will take some time to explain his theories, as Geiger starts to explain the chamber. Wayun allows Jake and Nog to leave with the baseball card. Due to the unintentional benefits of Jake's and Nog's trades, Chief O'Brien had time to go kayaking in the holosuite. Dr. Bashir has Kukalaka back, though he was confused about losing him. Major Kira's speech was well received, and Worf was able to listen to his opera collection on the USS Defiance Bridge again. Wayun even takes an interest in Geiger's work on immortality. But most importantly, Captain Cisco has in mint condition Willie Mays' rookie baseball card from Earth, 1951. Cisco then gives Nog a hearty handshake and Jake a big hug. The whole station feels happier. Oh, that's nice. Let's take a look at a production note from this episode. Ron Moore handed in his script for this episode on March 21st, 1997, and it began filming April 3rd, 1997. And now let's take a look at some trivia surrounding this episode. The computer system Dr. Geiger uses in this episode appears to be the same system we see on the USS Excelsior and USS Enterprise A in Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. Warren can be seen leaving the bar with the painting Quark offered for auction just after the baseball card. According to Quark, it's acrylic on black velvet. This is the same painting Quark would inherit in Who Mourns for Morn, and which would ultimately end up being smashed over his head. The layout of the A story of this episode, Jake and Nog trying to buy a baseball card, but continually being forced to get something in lieu of the card, is similar design to the B story of the first season episode Progress, where they're trying to earn latinum, but keep on ending up with commodities rather than profit. Nog continues this tradition on his own in the 7th season episode Treachery, Faith, and the Great River, which he describes this process to Chief O'Brien as sealing the river of the great material continuum. This episode introduces the possibility of a non-aggression pact between Bajor and the Dominion. In the following episode, called Arms, the pact would be signed. Despite going missing this episode, the USS Tiananmen would at some point be recovered by Starfleet, taking part in the first battle of Shintoka a year later. Following on from Rapture, this episode continues to add ambiguity to the usually villainous character of Kai Wynn, in much the same way as the writers had added ambiguity to the character of Gul Dukat throughout the third and fourth seasons. In particular, we see in this episode that her relationship with Sisko is improving and that their respect for one another is growing. We also see Wynn tell William to his face that she is nothing like him. This is the first episode of Star Trek to be directed by Michael Dorn. Some events from Rapture are referenced, specifically Sisko's insistence that Bajor should not join the Federation as of yet. According to Kai Wynn, this episode is set 6 months after the events of Rapture. Terry Farrell, who plays Jadzia Dax, does not appear in this episode. Quark had previously held an auction of items in the Gamma Coordinates bar with Vash and Q-Less. Although the established conversion of Latinum is 20 strips are equal to 1 bar, during the auction, Quark raises the price of the chest containing the baseball card to 1 bar, 25 strips, before Dr. Giger bids 2 bars. Since there are only 20 strips in a bar, this bid is in fact less than the previous bid. The only Mace baseball card is from the 1951 Bowman baseball set, with a value of $4,000 as of 2014. But if the value is gone up now, so there's that. So I really do like this episode, and yeah, definitely sets definitely there's something in this episode that sets the stage for what's going to happen in the next episode. So yeah. So overall, I give and the cards 4 Warp Cores out of 5. Well, anyway, tune in bed as we took the final episode of the season and the final episode of Star Trek Timber 2024, Call to Arms. So, until then, live long and prosper, everybody.